a lot of work. Then my family has visited me during 3 weeks. Then my wife's family is coming from Poland the next month, and then we have our anniversary party, and there's a lot to think about, like inside my personal life, a professional life too. There are many things to do. Yeah. Today was a tiring day indeed, but I really like my classes because it's a way of me relieve to relieve myself from, for me, giving classes is relaxing. It's not really stressful. I really enjoying it. I'm still sick, like you can hear. And okay, did you check yesterday the topic I told you? Nos tuve la oportunidad de revisar el tema que les escribimos ayer de cleft sentences, que estaba ahí una pregunta que vimos. I told you you could check it later. Cleft sentences. Okay. Now let's go. We have a couple of questions left. We have 5 questions, 6 questions. Okay, let's see. We're going to complete these 6 questions, and then we analyze what kind of question we have here. It says, one second, please. It wasn't a bad crash, and damage was done to my car. What kind of question do you think we have here? What kind of question do you think we have here? It's a grammar, comprehension, vocabulary. Is grammar.
Vocabulary.
Conversational. Yes, is a vocabulary. Let me see. Yeah, but also I think it's more like grammar. Yeah. Let's see. Well, you choose the correct answer and pay attention to the word damage. Try to think which one sounds better. You see, little damage, small damage, light damage, mere damage. Okay, I will give you 10 seconds. Please type your answer here on the chat. 10 seconds, guys. Okay, so we have so the correct answer, I see many of you chose C or B, some answers with A. Do you all have your answers, guys? Please write your answer now. Well, the correct answer is little damage. Little damage. How is that possible? Why? Well, let's analyze the other options. Let's disregard the other options. So small. Can we say small damage? Well, small is something you talk about size, the size of something, el tamaño de algo. So it can be big or small. Yeah, it can also be something that, like metaphoric, for example, you can say a small problem, un pequeño problema, ¿no? A small problem. Uh, well, what else? Well, but in the case of damage, we don't say small damage. No. What about light damage? Well, the word light is referred to something, right, that is not really serious, right? But the problem is that damage is already a very intense word that when you say damage, damage cannot be light, right? So you cannot say light damage, right? Or intense damage, right? Si yo utilizara, por ejemplo, lo opuesto de light, por ejemplo, utilizar heavy damage, intense damage, this is not correct either. Now, mere, do you know the meaning of mere? Mere is like only, pure, es como puro o mero daño. Mero, eso es mere, mero. So the correct one is little. And why? Maybe you are like, but I still think it's small. Well, little is because this is the topic of countable and uncountable nouns. So remember that we have the word, for example, we ask how many for something that is countable, right? How many pencils, how many apples, how many people, right? We use many, muchos, que es para countable. Then we also have we have much, that is for uncountable things. And then we have the opposite. You know what's the opposite of many and much? ¿Cuál es lo opuesto de mucho? Porque sí se puede decir a lot of damage, ¿no? Podemos decir a lot of damage or much damage. Mucho daño. So in English, we don't say like ligero daño, ¿no? Es como poco daño o mucho daño. It cannot be like heavy, intense, light. No, it's just much or many. So, what do we use when we want to see the opposite? En este caso es lo opuesto. For example, for many, que es contable, mm, mm, how can we say poquitos in English for countable?
Few.
Good. We
Few.
see a few. A few is for countable. So you can say a few people, a few apples, a few, etc. A few. Now damage, in this case, is uncountable. The opposite of much is little or a little, un poco. All right, so little es lo opuesto de much, en este caso, right? So you want to say, I don't know, much love, ¿no? Mucho amor, or a lot of love. Entonces lo opuesto sería a little love. También se puede decir little love, un poco de amor, right? So for things that are uncountable, you would say little. Entonces aquí queremos decir poco daño, so you say little damage. Okay, is this exercise clear for you? Do you understand? Yes, it's okay?
Yes.
Very well, guys. Thank you. Let's go. I would rather you to hear why we can go. So, try to analyze what kind of question is this?
Grammar.
Grammar.
Good, it's grammar. Yes. Why? Because you see that many of these options, they have a different grammar structure, right? So it's totally a grammar question. So I will give you 20 seconds to figure out what the answer is. Vamos a dar 20 segundos para esta pregunta. And please type your answer on the chat. Sorry, it was more than 20 seconds. So the correct answer is very good. Many answers with C. So the correct answer is B. Why B? Okay, let's analyze first this contraction. Antes de rather, it says I'd. So what is I'd?
I would.
I would. Yes, es que se refiere. I would. Now the expression is I would rather. Rather means prefer. I would rather or I would prefer. Yeah, preferiría. And you to her, why we can't go. Why not this one? Well, the expression would rather, si bien, por ejemplo, si tenemos I would prefer, entonces sí diríamos quizá I would prefer you to tell her or to explain to her. I would prefer you to explain to her. But in this case, the expression rather is not necessary. I mean, you shouldn't use the infinitive form. So would rather, after would rather, you only use base form verb, verbo en forma base. And in this case, it's a little bit different because I could say, for example, I'd rather explain. Preferiría explicar. I'd rather explain. So the verb is in simple form. Yeah. So why is correct to write it in the simple in the past form? ¿Por qué luego está en pasado aquí? Like what's the sense of this? Well, the thing is that you are not preferring yourself to do something, but you prefer other person to do something. That's the difference in this structure. So when you say I'd rather, and you want other person to do something, not yourself. Pongamos otro ejemplo. I'd rather go with you. Preferiría ir contigo. Now, I don't want something for me. I want for other person. Preferiría que tú fueras conmigo. ¿Cómo lo diríamos? I'd rather you went with me. I'd rather you went with me. What is the difference between these two sentences? Try to check these last two sentences that I wrote in the chat. What do you think is the difference? Aparte del verbo, o sea, what do you think is the difference between I'd rather go with you and I'd rather you went with me? Okay, so in this case, the first sentence, you mean that you prefer this for yourself, okay? Myself, yo prefiero. Aquí es, yo prefiero que tú hagas algo, right? So this is yourself, okay? So when we want to say that we would prefer other person to do something, you need to use the verb in past. En este caso, si estamos diciendo que preferimos que otra persona haga otra cosa, es el verbo en pasado. Now you're saying, okay, but still don't understand. What does it have to do with past? Pero ¿por qué pasado? Well, it's kind of simple to understand. Remember the second conditional? Do you remember the second conditional? In English, in the second conditional, you also use the verbs in past. In second conditional, you can say, if I had, si yo tuviera, right? No es si yo tuve, it's not the past. This is just an example for you to see. The past in English does not always mean past. El pasado en una oración no siempre se refiere al pasado, right? This is just a supposition. Si yo tuviera o si yo tuviese, right? If I were, or if I was, if I were, if I was, si yo fuese, if I ate, si yo comiera o si yo comiese. So in this case, what you want to say in this sentence is, preferiría que tú vinieses o vinieras conmigo, right? In this sentence. So when you have a verb in past, that verb in past, it can have like two meanings, right? Un verbo en pasado puede tener esos dos significados. O es pasado, or is just something that is called, nombre técnico, realmente no importa, es subjunctive, subjuntivo, que realmente es como para hablar de hypothesis or suppositions. Okay. That's why, por eso es que aquí, por ejemplo, si yo, if I had, no es pasado, sino es subjuntivo. Hipótesis y suposiciones. Okay. So, going back to our example in this sentence, I'd rather you explain significaría, preferiría que tú explicases o explicaras, right? Explain, because when I ask something politely, que es otra forma del subjuntivo, explicar algo de forma amable o pedir algo de forma amable, también se utiliza esta forma. Yeah. So in this case, I'd rather you explain to her. But if this is a supposition, yo quiero utilizar rather conmigo, entonces yo diría, I'd rather explain, sin pasado. I'd rather explain. Yo quiero explicar. Aquí es tú explica in this example. Okay. Do you have any questions about this? No? Okay, very good. So let's see. Let's see if we can check now. Uh, okay, let's move on to the next sentence. This was a little bit more difficult to analyze. Let's check 22. Can you please help me to read it? Jairo, can you please read the sentence, please?
Yes. Before making a decision, the reader considered all of the argument.
Excellent. Okay. Before making a decision, antes de tomar una decisión, leader consider. Esta es una pregunta de vocabulario. I will give you 10 seconds. Lo que queremos es decir es todas las vistas o todas las partes del argumento. So how can we say that? Sides, features, perspectives, or shades? You have 10 seconds. Very good. All of you chose C. And in this case, we use sides. All sides of the argument. We say sides. Sides son los lados, no todas las caras. For example, look at this box. So I check this is a side, this is another side, this is another side, this is the front side. Okay. So when you say all sides of the argument, esto es solamente una expresión en inglés. Sides of the argument. No es que sea incorrecto decir perspectives of the argument, but the expression, la expresión naturalmente es sides of the argument. Like, you can say perspectives, yeah, ese es el punto. Sides of the argument son las perspectivas, todas las perspectivas. But because this is a colloquial expression, so we say sides of the argument. That's how people say it, right? These kind of questions are something that we call collocations. Estas palabras se llaman collocations. And they allow you to use some words, for example, to que si está lloviendo fuerte, bueno, no traduces strong rain, sino heavy rain, right? Aunque traduciendo literalmente en español no tenga mucho sentido decir lluvia pesada. But in English, you have different ways of expressing things. So we will analyze these collocations during the rest of the classes. And let's check now. I don't know if you have any questions about 22. Okay, 23. Please, can you read it, Tony? 23?
Sure. Okay. This new printer is recommended as being reliable. ¿Digo la respuesta?
No,
Okay.
not necessary.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, this is again, como el anterior vocabulario, collocations. Reliable, reliable, confiable, right? So I want to say, ¿qué suena más natural? Decir greatly, highly, strongly, or readily para una impresora. This is an adverb, right? Estos son adverbios. Okay. Please write your answer. Okay, so let's analyze the options. Greatly. Greatly sería como grandemente, ¿no? So we don't really use this word reliable, right? Tú podrías, por ejemplo, decir greatly perform, ¿no? Or, I don't know, something more with an action. The correct option in this case is highly. Highly, altamente, confiable. Strongly sería fuertemente. I don't think it's very natural to say strongly reliable. Readily significa inmediatamente. Like easily también como sin problemas, right? But even though it could be similar, aunque tiene un significado, pues sí un poco relacionado porque es como no tiene inconvenientes. But with this case, we would say highly reliable, altamente confiable. Okay? It's just because the word reliable matches highly, right? Not because there is a really logical reason. No es que realmente hay una razón lógica, ¿no? ¿Por qué sides y no perspectives? ¿Por qué highly y no readily or other option? It's just that what it sounds natural in English, y de hecho, hay todo un libro que les voy a enviar que se llama, es de collocations, de todas estas frases. So you can see sometimes there are no reasons. People just say it like that. Okay, and 24, please, Victor, can you read it?
Yes. When I realized I had dropped my gloves, I decided to face my steps.
Good. So this is a question of vocabulary, no gramática porque todos los verbos están en el mismo tiempo. You don't need to conjugate, you don't need to do anything, you just need to choose the correct grammar word. 10 seconds for you. Tiré mis guantes y decidí como retroceder. Ok, vamos a ver. Entonces, the correct option, this question is tricky, but we can do it. Vamos a analizar. Entonces, return. ¿Qué significa return? Well, I will write the symbols for you. Esto es return. Bueno, supone que tiene que ser una flecha, ¿no? I think I can show a picture. Right? Bueno, ahí apareció también, ¿no? Es devolver, right? So maybe you could think, okay, metaphorically we can say, devolver mis pasos, ¿no? But no, in English this means more like you give something back to someone, como regresar algo a alguien o a algún lugar, right? So return, not really. Do you know resume, for example, when you are playing music in your cell phone, or I don't know, or you're playing a movie and you have not this one. Resume. It doesn't work. There. Es que resume también significa un CV. Es un currículum. Okay, let's see. Play, stop, resume. Okay, so you have this symbol on your TV remote. So you can pause that movie, right? Puedes pausarla. Or you can resume, right? So you can continue watching the movie. Entonces, pauso y después resume, reanudar. So reanudar mis pasos doesn't sound good. But what about regress? Regress puede ser como regresar, ¿no? But regress actually, it means going from a good position to a bad. Es como empeorar. For example, you can use it for a health condition, una situación de salud, o una situación, no sé, cualquier cosa que se vuelve peor, you say regress. Okay, you can say this situation regressed. The patient regressed his condition. Entonces, empeorar. That is the meaning of regress. And the one we are looking for is retrace. Retrace my steps significa exactamente eso. Significa regresar. Aunque podría sonar a nosotros que es retrasar, but it's not retrasar. Okay, retrace is to. Cuando dices retrace my steps, es regresarme. Okay. Retrace my steps. Good. 25. The last one. Please, Miguel, can you help me read it?
Yes, teacher.
Hans' house is somewhere in the of the railway station.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so Ains house is somewhere, está en algún lugar de railway station. Ok, la palabra que buscamos aquí es aquella que significa los alrededores. Ajá, como los alrededores de un lugar. Region of the railway station, quarter, vicinity, district. Which do you think is correct? Please write your answer, 10 seconds. Es como inmediaciones, los alrededores, en las cercanías. Excellent. Please, everyone, give your answer. So the correct answer is C, vicinity. Vicinity means that las inmediaciones o los alrededores. Okay. Very well. So that if you were saving your score, you can get, this is the end of the diagnostic test. Eso fue el examen. All right. Very well, guys. So, any questions at the moment? No? Okay. So this is like our first diagnostic test or preparation test for the preparation for the real exam. Okay. So previously we checked the parts of the speech. And okay, so we learned a little bit about everything here. I'm going to skip this part. And now what? Well, now we need to check some reviews of the grammar that we will need during the exam. What things do you need for your exam to manage really well is the passive voice. Vamos a ver este tema. Passive voice, we're going to check reported speech. We are going to learn conditionals. And we're going to learn the gerunds versus the infinitive. Those are the most important grammar reviews we will have. Okay, so let's see. We're going to start first with a reported speech. So I would like you to tell me, guys, what do you remember about the reported speech? ¿Qué recuerdan acerca de reported speech? Lo que se acuerden. Ya sé
It's
que
to talk about other person.
to talk about other person could be in some circumstances. Is there any other is there other use? Any other more important use of reported speech?
Yes.
Sorry, I
Well,
said reported speech, right?
yes.
Okay, yeah. I thought I said passive voice or something, but okay. The reported speech. Uh-huh. All right.
Well, I remember that is something, well, we used them to told something that someone told, it's like kind of like chismes.
Yeah, exactly, like gossips, very well. So in the reported speech, we follow some rules, but basically is you repeat what other person said. Okay, the first of these things are something that we call backshift. Backshift is just when you use the past of another tense, right? And well, it's not really that confusing because in Spanish we say the same, right? If I tell you, me fui de vacaciones. So I went on vacation. So you would say, él dijo que se había ido de vacaciones. Entonces hago un cambio de ese tipo gramatical, de ese tense. You would say, he said he had gone on vacation. All right. This is something that we use, and it's called simply reported speech. Really well. Very well. Do you remember anything else about the reported speech? ¿Recordamos algo más acerca de reported speech? All right. So let's just have a brief review of what we remember. So present simple. How do we change present simple in reported speech?
Past simple.
Past simple. Good. How do we change the present continuous?
Past continuous.
To past continuous. So present perfect to past perfect. Present perfect continuous to past perfect continuous. And let's say that the past perfect, you cannot go farther, right? El pasado perfecto en pasado perfecto se queda. Yeah, past simple changes to past perfect. Past continuous to past perfect continuous. Past perfect, no change. Past perfect continuous, no change, and so on. All right. I will take you out tonight. In this case of modal verbs, will we change to would, can changes to could, must changes to had to, may changes to might, y los demás no tendrían cambio. Have to, should, would, could, or might. But let's remember some of these modal verbs. Vamos a hacer un review de los modal verbs. So let's see. All right. So we know maybe will, can. What is the meaning of must and when do we use must? ¿Qué significa must y cuándo utilizamos must?
Deber, una obligación.
Es deberías.
Exactly. Correct. That is must. Very well. Obligations. Exactly. May. Do you remember?
It's like a recommendation.
Recommendations. Not really. Recommendations utilizaríamos should. It's
Possibilities.
permissions. Para permisos. We may go out later. Entonces may se traduce como podría, right? Like a supposition, but it's also used to give permission, right? We may go out later es como podríamos, se nos ha dado permiso para salir. You may be seated. Puedes sentarte. You may be seated. So you use may to give permission. It's preferable than saying can. Cuando otorgues un permiso a alguien, no digas you can. Try to say you may. Because, well, it's not that it's incorrect in an informal context, but you want to be very professional and very strict to the use of may and can, so you try to stick may for permissions only. Okay, do you remember off to? ¿Recuerdan off to? Off to, we use it as a synonym of should. Significa lo mismo, deberías. It's just another way of saying it. You ought to come at 7. Solo que vemos que ought to es una recomendación más fuerte o con más importancia que should. Okay, but they mean the same. Okay, would, we know that it's just for, it works with verbs, ¿no? I would walk would mean yo caminaría o sacaría a pasear al perro en la noche. You couldn't do it. No podrías hacerlo. I might arrive late. Podría llegar tarde. Okay. So, very well. These are the modal verbs, and you see how some of them change, some of them not. Y pues bueno, sería recordar este cuadro de los cambios para la cuestión de reported speech. Do you have any questions about what we just explained about backshift?
No, would you send this table? Please?
Okay, yeah, sure. I will change you this chart so you can check it later. I will send it to your WhatsApp too. So now let's check one of the most okay. Let's say, you know Winston Churchill, you know? Do you know this guy, Winston Churchill? Okay, so these are some quotes. For me, he's like a very interesting guy. Like he's a hero in the UK. He's a hero, like anti-Nazi and everything. Like he's like very important for his country. Okay, this is one of his quotes. Un quote es una cita, algo que dijo él. Quote, quote. So, what are some of the quotes that he said? If you are going through hell, keep going. Remember that Winston Churchill was a guy that fought the Nazis, right? Él, primer ministro cuando era la Segunda Guerra Mundial, right? Winston Churchill. And he said this thing, right? If you're going through hell, si estás viviendo un infierno, si estás yendo a través de un infierno, continúa. Why do you think Winston Churchill would say something like this? What does it mean to you? ¿Qué significa este quote for you? Maybe it can be even motivational.
Sometimes there are very bad moments, but you need to still going and
Yes.
go against the problems, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
So, yeah, I agree. Yeah. Like if you're going through a lot of problems in your life and you feel tired, okay, just keep going, right? That's what he said. Vamos a utilizar reported speech con esta frase. So I would say, Winston said. Él dijo, y aquí tenemos, what is this tense? Es importante reconocer cuál es el tense, el tiempo de la oración. What is the tense?
Present continuous.
Present continuous, very good. According to the backshift chart, de acuerdo a este cuadro, si la oración está en presente continuo, ¿cómo la cambiamos?
Past continuous.
Excellent. So we would say, vamos a escribir la oración. Winston said that
That you were going.
Good. If you were going through hell, keep going. Solo cambiamos are por where. Wisdom dijo que si ibas por un infierno, a través de un infierno, siguieras caminando. All right. So, present continuous to past continuous. We can check maybe of another person, right? What is one of your, tell me the name of any important, for me, Winston is very inspirational, but for you, please tell me, Ulises, what is one character from history, maybe an actor, or maybe a poet, an author that you admire? So we can find quotes here on the internet.
Don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Cristóbal Colón.
Okay, so Cristóbal Colón quotes. A ver qué dijo Cristóbal. Que sería en inglés, perdón, no Cristóbal Colón, sería Christopher Columbus en inglés. A ver qué dijo Christopher Columbus. Oh, okay. This is something that he said. Riches don't make a man rich. They only make him busier. Do you understand this quote? Las riquezas no hacen a un hombre rico, solo lo hacen más ocupado. Okay. So that's what Christopher Columbus said. So, ¿cómo diríamos? Christopher said. Vamos a escribir la oración. Christopher said. That riches. ¿Y cómo cambiamos la oración? Jairo, what do you think we need to do?
Wasn't.
Okay, we have don't make. What is the past of don't make?
Didn't.
Didn't make.
Make.
Very good. Riches. Christopher said that riches didn't make a man rich. They only made him. Solamente lo hacían. They made him busier. Thank you. Heidi, do you have any other author, famous person, or someone whose quotes you admire?
Yes, teacher. Mahatma Gandhi.
Hamara what?
Mahatma Gandhi.
Mahatma Gandhi. All right.
Mohandas.
Very interesting person. What quotes? Vamos a ver. What quotes? Okay, one second. Let me close the ad. Ok, aquí ayudo, ¿no? No one can hurt me without my permission. Okay. So how could we, guys, use reported speech for this sentence? No one can hurt me without my permission.
He said that no one could hurt him without his permission.
Exactly, very well. Entonces cambiamos can por could. He said that no one could hurt, aquí el me, pues, él lo dijo, him without his permission. Good. Very well. Ojo, una cosa es reported speech, otra cosa es quoted speech. Evidentemente en la calle yo diría, o con amigos diría, Mahatma Gandhi said, no one can hurt me without my permission. Pero aquí ya estoy utilizando quotes, quotation marks, repitiendo exactamente lo que dijo. But here is a different way. Okay. So this is just a bit of practice. Remember that backshift, esto que acabamos de ver de cambiar el tiempo, is not always necessary. When is not necessary? Well, when in this case, what the speaker is saying is still true or relevant. Consider the next examples. I will tell you one example. I want to eat. I want to eat now. I'm hungry. I want to eat now. Yo repito lo que acaba de decir esa persona. If I'm speaking like right at the same moment, no sé, unos segundos que dijo eso. So in this case, it's not necessary to say he said he wanted to eat. No, you don't need to say he wanted. Solamente dices he said he wants to eat. Okay? He said he wants to eat now. Él dijo que quiere comer ahora. All right? No necesitamos decir, él dijo que él quería, right? Because in this case, we have the condition that is true. Then it can also be something relevant. Imagine what we have here in this example. If I go to the gym next to your house, okay, I go to the gym next to your house. We have gimnasio que está al lado de tu casa. So Jenny told me that she goes to the gym next to my house. I'm thinking about going with her. So because I'm thinking about going with her, this is relevant. So I don't change go, no cambio go por went, sino que lo dejo igual, right? Because the gym is still there. Okay. So sometimes when it's still true or relevant, you don't need to use reported speech when you want to repeat it. All right. Let's check one example. What is your favorite color, Samara? Sorry? Didn't hear you. Oh, I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. Let's ask Fer, what is your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. Okay. So Fer said that his favorite color is blue. It's not necessary that you say was blue, right? Because this could mean like was blue, but now his favorite color is green, right? So you need to keep, in this case, the same tense. You don't need to change it. But there are some other situations, for example, when you have demonstratives and adverbs of time and place that you need to be careful when you change them and when you use the reported speech, okay? For example, check the example. This is my house. Esta es mi casa, right? Yo diría, he said this was his house. Okay, entonces aquí digo lo mismo. Esta era su casa. Because I am still in the house. Or it could be, he said that was his house. Él dijo que esa era su casa. So, esa, right? Because I'm not there. Let's imagine another example. Like we have here, like, we like it here, me gusta aquí, but where is here? That's important to know, right? We are, for example, in the beach. We are in the beach and we say, Me gusta aquí la playa, right? I like it here. Entonces, she told me, y ahora yo voy y repito esta oración, but if I'm with my friends in the cinema, si ahora estamos en el cine, she told me she liked, y yo digo, she told me she liked it here, entonces ya no me estoy refiriendo a la playa, porque yo estoy en otro lugar. So you need to keep the same sentence. She told me that she likes it, y cambiamos here por there, que le gustaba allá en la playa. Entonces, cuando dices we like it here, solamente puedes utilizar here nuevamente en reported speech if you are still in the same place. If not, you need to change to there. The same goes, for example, when these changes to those, when now changes to then, when yesterday changes to the day before, and so on. Now, we still need to check how to report questions, but I have an activity for you. Okay. In this case, you have 8 sentences and you need to write them in reported speech. Okay, all of the 8 sentences for you to practice this topic. All right, tomorrow we will continue. We will practice reported speech and then we will jump into passive voice. Then we will check like real newspapers and we will work on passive voice. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. Have a good night and sleep tight.